How's it going, guys? We're about to go live with Cal Poly orientation and talk a little bit about SLO Days, but we're going to get that all set up in the next 2 minutes here. All right. How's it going, students? Any questions before we could begin that we can get answered? Orientation SLO Days official is about to join me, so his name is Chad. Chad should be joining right now. Oh, what's going on, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. How about yourself?
We're doing well, right? I'm doing great. Thank you for having us. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here too. So, if you guys want to introduce yourself, I'll introduce myself following, and then we'll get maybe into some SLO Days. Does that sound up your alley?
That sounds right up our alley. What we're here to talk about. Anything else we could probably share, but SLO Days is really our forte right now.
Sounds good.
All right, Ray, do you want to go first in instructions?
Sure. My name is Ray. For a part of Cal Poly's orientation, I am the cross-culture experience lead, specifically for the orientation leadership team. And we oversee all the event planning and logistics-wise for SLO Days. I'll let Chad introduce himself as well.
And hello, everyone. Chad Zoller, he, him, his pronouns. I am the program coordinator for NSTP, so working with all three of our pillar programs, being Open House, SLO Days, and WOW. Also a proud former two-time graduate of Cal Poly 2016 and 2018, and so did the orientation thing growing up in Cal Poly and recently returned as a professional staff. Ray, what's your past experience?
Yes, last year I was also last year I was a SLO Days leader, and then in the succeeding months I was part of WOW, and then now I came back to join the orientation leadership team.
Love it. Right on. Thanks, guys. And I am Dan Mueller. I'm a senior now, city and regional planner. I'm working for the Welcome Center, and I'm running this Mustang Monday because Erin sadly could not join us. She had something come up, so I'm just filling in and asking some questions, and we're just going to have a little discussion about SLO Days.
Love it. Have you been involved in orientation in the past, Dane?
I have been involved in orientation in the past. SLO Days is really fun because you kind of just get to go see. It's your first time at Cal Poly, sleeping, spending the night, so you're going to meet some new friends, hopefully, learn a thing or two, and just kind of enjoy the good weather and see what it's all about around here. So I'm excited for all you folks that are about to join us.
Yeah, take it away, Dane. You can probably answer these for us with that testimony.
Right on. So do you guys want to explain what SLO Days is all about specifically?
Yeah, Ray, want to first time?
Sure. SLO Days is a day-and-a-half experience, both in person and virtual, but I'll start a little bit with the virtual since that's coming up. For our virtual SLO Days, we have programming coming from different campus partners, from student diversity and belonging, Dean of Students, City of SLO, so different campus partners that are here to fill new students in on different campus resources. And then we also have different activities planned coming from the orientation leadership team, and that's a little bit more student-based involved with our student leaders who will be helping new students in that transition. and that's more shortened for our virtual slow days. And then in-person slow days, which is after our first virtual session, that's where new students will come in and, as you mentioned, spend the night in one of our Rakututu residence halls. And beginning with day one, we have a lot of presentations that they will go through an experience where they'll learn about different on-campus partners, as well as meet new incoming students. And as I mentioned, they'll also be spending the night in the residence halls. And then on day two, they also will have another opportunity to spend time with their group. And day two is more designed to be a little bit of a wrap up where they're now considered Mustangs. And so they'll be hearing from one of our dean of students as well.
I think to just add on to that, that's really the why of that's the kind of what Slow Days is all about. But the why of Slow Days is at Cal Poly, we're pretty unique in having a 2-part mandatory orientation experience. So part 1 being Slow Days, part 2 being the week of welcome or WOW. And we know the transition can be very challenging going from admitted student to showing up to your first day of classes, and that's why we do have the 2 parts. So Slow Days is very intentional on easing you into that transition, going through the either virtual or in-person experience, getting to spend that kind of summertime before your fall or quarter, getting to have more time to then get comfortable with the campus, with the environment, with some of the resources and some of that educational programming before coming back for WOW in the fall and getting the full, in-person experience going through the first day of classes into, your first quarter and the ultimately first year.
Right on. Yeah, I remember it being quite fun. You get to hang out with some people that you may not have from high school if they're coming to Cal Poly, but you'll definitely meet some new friends, learn a thing or two about what's going on at Cal Poly, and definitely get all your questions answered if we can't do that today, at least on the Instagram Live. So there you go. Do you guys have any frequently asked questions that you want to address?
Yeah, I think our first frequently asked question that's really huge right now is how to register. We know there's a lot of admitted students who might still be confused on what the next steps are, and that is the registration process. So students can go through their portal in order to register, and at the same time, they will register not only for Slow Days, but also WOW. And so once they select the sessions that are open, they will be confirmed for their spot, and that kind of sets them up for then getting all the communication they need to be prepared to join us for that session. So if any students have not signed up, we want to make sure they do that by June 30th, because that is when our early bird kind of registration ends, and the fee does go up a little bit for anything after June 30th. So definitely taking these next couple days to get your reservation solidified so you know exactly when you'll be joining us throughout the summer, whether that be virtually or in person as well.
Definitely some good advice. I know a lot of you just graduated seniors are probably pretty busy this summer, so make sure to get all signed up and everything squared away before you're officially a Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to share so that our future Mustangs are prepared for the event?
Yeah. What's your best advice, Ray, before a new student between now and their Slow Day session?
Between now and the Slow Day session, whether that be in person or virtual, I think having some, reality checks in terms of with yourself and with your supporter, I think is probably the best thing that you can do, given that this is a new experience for everyone, and this might be your first time away from home, especially in a brand new environment, given that you will also be spending a night. I think starting to have the conversation about what that college transition will look like, from the places on campus that you want to start visiting, from the types of connections that you want to make. It all starts on day one of Slow Days. And so kind of getting ready for that transition to college, I think, is really crucial. So allowing yourself to kind of get into that space, eager to learn, ready to meet new people, I think will go a long way, just only help you in that Slow Days experience.
Well, thank you for that. That's everything you have to add, or do you guys want to talk about kind of what Slow Days entails?
Yeah. I think Slow Days entails, Ray covered it great with like the day and a half experience, whether that be virtual, in person. I think the other piece of that is the different tracks that you might be a part of, depending on kind of the population. So we do have a first year track for all new first time freshmen. We have a transfer track, which has 2 virtual sessions at the end of August, which is specifically kind of more suited for preparing for the kind of advising and registration process. And then for all of those, we do have a supporter track. So if you are the supporter of a new student, you have a whole kind of track of programming more suited and tailored to your experience. We definitely, within Cal Poly, value the supporter experience going through that to support their new Mustang. And so we built a track of programming. So while your student comes for SLO Days, we invite you as well. So while they're with their new student guide going through the track, supporters, we have so much to offer you in terms of getting your questions answered, having leaders available to answer those questions for you, as well as getting more face-to-face time with some faculty, staff, and administration to get all of your questions answered from more of the higher level faculty within the university, not just the student perspective, which we know we prioritize with our students as well. And so I think that's more of what to expect on your population of what you will have during your SLO Day session.
Right on. I'm just looking through the comments right now to see if, oh, here we go. El Chuit said, when will you start accepting waitlisted students? That sounds like an admissions question. I don't know if these gentlemen here can answer that one, but I know you can email Cal Poly admissions and they can surely find an answer for you. I personally don't know myself. I'm seeing here if there's any other questions. It doesn't really look like it. Do you gentlemen have anything to add about what to bring maybe to SLO Days?
Yeah, I think some of what might be helpful is obviously I think a readily available sleeping bag, given that you'll only be spending one night in the residence halls. If you have that available, so some quick bedding, maybe even a pillow if you feel comfortable. Those are just some minor things for the evening. And then of course, just about a day and a half's worth of change of clothes, because typically the SLO Day sessions take place during warmer weather. So it's nice to have your typical pairs of shorts, shirts, anything that you feel comfortable in walking around for quite a bit of the day, portion of the day. So whatever that is and what that entails for you is completely and entirely up to the new student. But I would definitely recommend a change of clothes, something for the evening, and then as well, maybe even a couple of devices, as some of the presentations might be a little bit interactive in terms of scanning QR codes or working directly on your registration, things of that nature.
Definitely comfortable shoes. You will be moving around a lot. There's a campus tour for our students involved, and you will be outside for a majority of some of the pieces going from transition from session to session. So comfortable clothing, definitely packing light though. It is only a day and a half, but maybe packing a jacket, because for our students for the in-person, we do go pretty late into the evening with some fun late night activities. So having that jacket available usually is helpful no matter what the slow weather might throw whenever your session is, but comfortable packing light and any toiletries or anything you might need for your own benefit throughout the overnight stay portion. You will get an information of what to bring in full list. I believe it's on our website, but it also is in the kind of last communication that is sent before your session.
Hopefully that answers your question, Annie.Bunny. So they were wondering about the official list in the future. I've got 2 more questions, and they were wondering if the agenda looks the same for the EOP and Scholar SLO Days.
Yes. So for those specific tracks, there are some a little bit different programming. So like we have breakout sessions that they need to attend if they are part of EOP or Cal Poly Scholar. So there's a little bit different of programming, but the general structure is the same. And that is the same for also our Mustang Express if they're part of that group attending that session to come down a day early in order for that transportation.
Sounds good. Thanks for answering that one. And then I've got one more from the comments. And Nathan was wondering if our parents have anywhere specific to stay and what the supporter fee is specifically for, kind of if it is optional or mandatory.
Yeah, so the supporter track is optional. It's an opt-in program that we're introducing. The supporters don't have anywhere designated covered in their fees that they would be staying on campus, so they would typically be staying somewhere off campus, at any one of the lodging areas near or around San Luis Obispo. But supporters aren't designated a specific housing area for the evening like students are.
Yeah. What we will typically do for our supporters is we definitely highlight the wonderful housing opportunities from hotels to Airbnbs. There's a lot of availability in the area during SLO Days, so we usually just kind of send them out. The Visit SLO website is usually where we'll direct students to, our supporters to, as it has a good list, more comprehensive of a lot of different places versus just even a Google search would work. And for the supporters, as far as materials, there is a fee that is associated because we have to put on a separate, unique track, and that does require us to charge that fee in order to make sure the materials, the sessions, as well as all of their meals and everything else that goes into the experience is covered in that fee. Then that's why we charge one for supporters to attend the track with them.
Awesome. These questions are really good, folks, and they keep coming in. So I'm going to keep hammering you gentlemen with questions. Hopefully you can answer them. Good Finds was wondering, are meals included for the students in SLO Days?
Yeah, so the meals are included in the package in terms of the fee associated with SLO Days, and so that's structured into the programming. So there's designated times to eat, and those meals are covered with the registration fees.
Yep, and specifically lunch and dinner on day one. So they'll do lunch and dinner on day one, and then breakfast on day two, specifically for students.
So maybe bring your snacks if you guys like some late night snacks. I know San Luis Obispo or Cal Poly in general has some good vending machines too, if you guys are into that.
Yes, and when you usually, so morning time, because we do an early check-in, definitely if you bring or eat before you come to the session, or bring a light snack, and then we do end the session around 1 p.m. on day two, so that's perfect time to release them to go to lunch off campus.
Right on. Perfect. You can meet back up with your parents, hopefully. If you came alone, just find some nice meal downtown if you're still hungry. But I remember the barbecue being pretty good during SLO Days.
Tried to.
All right. I got one more question in the comments right here. And they were wondering if the virtual sessions are through Zoom.
Yes, the virtual sessions are through Zoom.
Yeah, specifically Zoom webinar is the one that we'll send out the large link for the session. So that way all the big sessions will happen in the Zoom webinar, knowing there are then breakouts where they will get links to their specific small group leader. So that way when the students need to go meet with just the student group, so they still build that community and have those connections in the smaller groups, that'll be done via Zoom meeting, and we'll be giving them the links right before the session for those specific breakouts.
Thank you for that. Do you have any other points? Maybe some advice for SLO Days before we wrap things up here?
We kind of already touched on it earlier, but I would highly encourage any students who have any questions about Cal Poly to bring them to their groups and bring them to their student leaders. We've been in training for some time now, and we have a wonderful group of student leaders who are really welcoming and really ready to answer any questions. Once you are able to have that student experience, we definitely encourage that. And then also, it's really important that you start to begin to think about what campus life might be for you in particular. So just getting that kind of attitude already, I think, would be really helpful, and I think you'll have a wonderful experience.
All right. Well, there's a couple last questions coming in. Anybody watching live, if you have some last questions, hopefully you can type them out in the chat, and then we can get them answered. I'll start with Annie's question. On the first day of SLO Days, are students allowed to go to their dorms to drop off some items before the tour starts?
Definitely don't want to confuse tours that admissions might be running with slow days, even though there is a tour kind of encapsulated. But for the slow day session, check-in will run from about 7:30 to 9:30. And so how the check-in process works is you'll arrive onto campus, you will check in for slow days, get the key to your residence hall for that evening, and then you'll go drop your stuff off and then shuttle on over to our resource fair where the first session will be. So that way you don't have to carry anything you don't need for the day. It's all locked away safely in your residence hall that you'll be staying that evening, and you'll be ready to go for that first session. And we usually recommend arriving more on the earlier side, just so you make sure you have that time to be settled in, so you're not rushing to that first session. And we do have a resource fair with a lot of other stuff happening for all those early risers who get there at 7:30.
Got it. All right, now we've got the good questions pouring in. This is a classic one. Do students share a room that night?
Yes, typically how the housing portion is structured is that students will be paired with one other individual. I believe it is a randomized selection, so there is no process of requesting a roommate. But provided with the randomization, that gives you a brand new opportunity to meet someone new, hopefully a new friend. And so we definitely encourage that aspect of housing, but it will be a shared room.
Yeah, right on. Shout out Thomas Brown. I remember my slow days roommate. Can you change the days you've registered before if you've already paid?
You can, depending on session availability. So what that process looks like is on our website, we have what we call our orientation request form or ORF. What we want you to know, though, is that there is a automatic $50 fee applied for changing the session, and it's on an acceptance only to be able to move sessions, and it's only 2 sessions that are also still available, knowing that at this point a lot of sessions have closed. So if you log back into Visual Zen through the orientation registration site, you can look at them, but it might be closed, being that you need to fill out that ORF in order to change if you've already paid and selected a session.
All right, thank you for that one. And then one more simple question. You gentlemen have the answer. What time will the virtual sessions be at?
Virtual sessions, we're still locking down that specific start time, being that it is virtual and wanting to be accommodating to all maybe time zones that might be logging in, but it's usually going to start around the same 8 to 9-ish in the past.
All right, thank you. Okay, one last question before we log off, if you guys are okay with that, or if you have any last remarks. One student was wondering about parking.
Mr. Jeffrey, I see that. Very on CSF. Parking is part of the cost provided, and they are sent a parking pass within the final email to prepare them for their session.
All right, right on. Any last questions from the chat or any closing remarks? We'd love to hear them now. Do you gentlemen have anything to end, wrap up?
No, I think ours is that if you haven't registered, please do so as soon as possible, again, before that June 30 mark, in order to not have those fee increases to the registration. And I think my last piece of advice is that for all of our new students, that it's okay to be nervous. And this is a very kind of rattling process at times, going to your first orientation experience. And sometimes, at least for me personally, going through slow days, or SOAR as it was at the time, is that it became very real that I was starting this next chapter in my life, and that can, incite and invoke a lot of feelings and emotions. But know that, again, like Bray said, you have leaders here, and you have a whole network of community that you'll build the moment you step on campus that want to be here to support you and be there for you every step of the way. And so being open and willing to accept that help and bringing your questions, bringing those fears, and we'll make sure to get you connected with every person to make them as alleviated and mitigated as possible, so you feel as confident as possible coming to WOW to start your full Cal Poly experience on campus for the next 4+ years.
Right on. Well, if I have anything to add, maybe you can watch this live over and over again if you really loved it on the Mustang Mondays tab on the Cal Poly Admissions Instagram. Other than that, we can't wait to see you at SLO Days. Go Mustangs. You're going to do great. The next 4 years is going to be hopefully some of the best years of your life. If you're a transfer student, hopefully, however long you're going to be here, you have a great time at SLO Days too. We can't wait to see you, and thank you.
Thank you, Dane. Thank y'all.
Hey there, my name's Rafael. I'm a fourth-year journalism transfer student with a minor in Spanish, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for watching the video. Please share any questions or comments you have down below in the comments section. Click here to subscribe, and to watch more videos, click here. If you want to sign up for a campus visit, we're offering in-person and virtual options, so check out our website. Link in the description. Thank you for watching.